Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, Van is back at Current Fight Vanguard deck profiles. Let's get them started, shall we? So, this has been the first deck profile in a while that we've done, this time being of stuff from set 8. So yeah, let's go and get started. But first up, a small disclaimer, we all know at this point my deck profiles are not meant to be used in tournaments and are built to their ultimate optimality. So if you're looking for the most optimal version of this Tamayura deck, or any deck profiles for that matter, please go ahead and click off this video. But if you're just looking for the deck profile in general, then continue. Anyways, so this time we are covering Tamayura for set 8. So I'm just going to go in order of nations. Tamayura, honestly, one of my favorite ones to play from set 5, just because you could call a bunch of rear guards and do Pale Moon multi-attack. Now that we actually have Pale Moon, I feel like just Tamayura is just like a worse version of that, or like knockoff Pale Moon, but then somehow does it better simply because they have 2 sets of support behind them. So let's go and get the started, shall we? And we'll see how this deck has grown with its new line of support. I'll tell you what, those 2 new dolls break this deck. So yeah. First up, we have our starter in 9-tailed Fox Spirit, Tamayura. Grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base. Auto remote upon if you win second. Standard draw, not special about stay free draw if you win second. You could really technically run any starter. I don't remember if the grade 1 of the Ride Line requires this or not. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, so either way, it's a nice starter to have. And it has that really cool umbrella design with like the, I guess, nighttime in 1/2, and like I guess would be classified as, well, not daytime, but like lighter, I guess evening in the or not evening, but like morning sunrise in the other side. So all around, I like the starter. I think it's cool. Again, I don't know if you can run any starter. We'll get to that when we get to the grade 1s, but yeah, take the size you will. Then we have our Overtrigger and Dragon Deity, King of Resurgence, Dragveda. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power. Overtrigger, moment one Overtrigger in your deck. If it's trigger, that card, draw card, choose one, put someone for the turn. And if you build it during drag check, activate its effect, which is choose one of your vanguards and stand it. Okay, essentially, based off of Deer Days, where I have died to this, if this gets pulled in this deck, that is essentially game unless your opponent pulls the over in response, because you're getting a total of, what, 3 front row attacks and Tamayura, so 2 more, so 5, then you restand, then you do 2 more on top of that, so a total of 8 attacks. So yeah, and one of them's gonna have 1 million, and technically 2 of them might have 1 million if you put it on Van. All around, Dragveda is great. Getting that free restand is amazing, and just simply having this in your deck is fun, and your opponent will always hate you for it, because Tamayura is not a once per turn for some reason. So yeah, 1 of Dragveda, just a good bonus on getting a restand, plus even if you're not on grade 3 Tamayura, you're still getting extra drive checks, so what's not to like about it? Then we have our normal triggers. First up, we have 3 copies of Maiden Parama, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k base. I love this little apple-looking thing. I don't know if that's an apple or not. It just looks like an apple to me. Front trigger, use guard circle, opponent's vanguard to grade 3 grade. She gets plus 5k shield. She's a 20k shield. You know, nice to have the front. It works really well if you're running low on guarding power, considering this deck is just auto guard, because you want to just constantly throw down the Rarami cards. And then also front trigger, because, you know, when your vanguard swings, you are getting a technical restand out of the board. So you're really going to want to have fronts to pump numbers up to in case your numbers aren't currently enough, or maybe you had to sacrifice boosters earlier. So yeah, front trigger's nice to have, but not, you know, not necessarily, so I put them at 3 of, followed by, of course, 4 draw triggers of Flail, Dragon, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k power. Draw teams, guard circle, plus vanguard to grade 3 greater, gets plus 5k shield. You know, being able to increase your hands pretty nice, get more guarding power, add more numbers. I don't think you really need this. You could run extra crits in its place and just keep the front and the extra crits, but I do prefer just to run Rainbow, especially because the draw has proven to be the only trigger I'm allowed to goddamn sack in this deck that isn't a goddamn heal. This deck knows what it did to me, and we both know why I'm running this as a draw. So 4 Flail, nice card for me. Then we have our 4 copies of Burning Flail Dragon, the crit. Grade 0 boost, 50k power, or 50k shield, 4k power. Out of rear at the end about a booster. Put this unit to soul, choose one gets plus 2 for the turn. I find it funny how the first time I remember to use this thing's skill, it was with this deck, and it's what made a difference. Or to be more that, it what made me think there was a difference, because it gave me just enough soul to play my Blitz order to lower their attacking power by 10,000. And then they sacked the over and nullified it completely, but it made me think I had a chance. So 4 of Burning Flail, good crit. It, you know, if you remember to use its ability, it's very amazing. If you don't remember to use its ability, you're honestly wasting your time running it. But yeah, just a good card nonetheless, so 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Maiden Reony, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 5k power, just a standard heal. We all know why I don't run the effect heals. If you don't know why, because I will admit it has been a long time since I've done that profile, it is because they are way too gimmicky in my opinion, because one of them specifically requires the unit that is currently attacking to have attacked at least one other time this turn, and this unit has had to have stood during that turn, so this has to be the second unit battle, or maybe more, I don't remember exactly. And then the other one involved them getting a crit, and I think it had to be not by abilities or drive check. Or maybe not by drive check. I don't remember what the exact wording on that one was. But I don't like those. They're way too, like, what's it called, gimmicky, and if the opponent doesn't use those skills, then in that case you just have 2 10k shields, and honestly that kind of fucks you over. So yeah, I'd rather have 15k shields any day of the week rather than those ones that only work during, you know, extra benefits are applied. So for Reony, because also in vanilla turns, those will kill you. I can name plenty of times where games have gone to the point where neither of us can do anything and the opponent just starts swinging and those heals would have actually killed me because they had 5k less shield, and that 5k actually would have made the difference. So for Reony, good heal. You can really run any heal, but I do prefer the non-effective ones. Then we have our first grade 1 and 3 copies of Stealth Fiend Forktail. This card instigates the solitaire loop of this deck. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto is placed on rear guard. You may look at top 7. If you do, choose up to 1 normie with stealth in its card name or a glitter from among them, or put it to your soul and shuffle your deck. So either you get a stealth unit, which in this case would only be her, or you just get a unit with glitter, so one of the 4 dulls and or one of the Tamayura cards. Either way, it's a good card to have. It is literally a free top 7 search, can be played whenever, and she's amazing in a grade 1 rush, and not to mention the fact she just sets up your soul failure, and she gives you a free fucking soul charge. The only reason not to like her is because, you know, she, I guess, sends any card that you see, or not any card, but like, she'll send it to soul and not give you a chance to put it to hand, so you could technically lose a persona right out of it, but it's a free fucking soul. What the fuck are you gonna do about it? 3 of Forktail. It's a good grade 1 that instigates loops in the late game. Also just a good booster all around. Then we have our new dolls. I'll start off with this one because it's my favorite one to say the name of. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've waited for, Rarami! Rarami. I forgot to do the whole put your hands together for the thing, whatever. Anyways, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. This is Juggling Jazzlin. I don't know what the fuck that is. When this card is put into your drop zone from your soul during your turn by counterblasting 1, you can call this unit to a back or rear guard circle, same column as your front unit with Reony its card name. So technically it could be the grade 1 Reony, or it can be the grade 2 one. Here's my thing, I will never remember this skill. I'm pretty sure the other one has the same exact skill. I will never fucking remember this because I never soul blast them because I'm always paranoid and I always keep them in soul. I'm not even kidding with you. The game that I test played these in, I literally didn't know that's what their skill was. I thought it was from drop that ability activates, not from soul. So, or when it's soul blasted out. So yeah, that, and then glitter. If your vanguard's a Tamayura, auto rear, at the end of the battle this unit boosted, you must put all rear guards in the same column as this unit into your soul, so that includes herself. And if you put a unit with Reony in its card name from your soul with this effect, choose one of your units and it gets +5 for the turn. So you can give it to Vanguard, which is your normally pity option, like if you have no other better rear guards, you give it to that one. Or you just do it like you did with that grade 3 back from set 5, and then just give it to your other attacking rear guard, and that rear guard attacks, and then you do a whole other loop of things. All around, Rarami is pretty good. I like her skill, free cost, except for like the counter blast part, but she gets to call herself to rear guard if you soul blast her out, meaning you can do multi-attacks, and you know, when you call them out via Tamayura, you can soul blast them and, you know, do their skills to draw, retire, and then call this back, and then, you know, not to mention her abilities not once per turn, so you can send her to the soul twice and get something +10 technically. So all around, Rarami is pretty good. I like her as a grade 1, she's amazing, and in terms of names, she's my favorite out of the 2, so 4 of Rarami. Then we have, it's showtime, Rarami. If this was a male, I would be more inclined to pick this name over the other one because there's a funny bit I would do if this was a male. So, but she is, in terms of art, she's my favorite looking. In terms of name, this is my favorite. Again, unless this was male, because there is a bit I want to do with that name. Anyways, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto, same. Yep, I was right. When it's put into your drop zone from your soul during your turn by counterblasting 1, you can call it to a back or rear guard circle as the same column as your front unit Rarami in its card name. So again, it can be this one or it can be one of the grade 2s. And then glitter, Tamayura, if your vanguard's a Tamayura, auto rear, at the end battle she boosted. Again, you must put all rear guards into the same column as your soul. As the same column as her into your soul, including herself, and then she's boosting. And you put a unit with a Rarami and its card name into your soul with this effect, and you do not countercharge this turn by any means, whether it's by her ability or something else. By soul blasting 1, you countercharge 1. So this is, I guess, usually your way to like soul blast out this or soul blast out this to call it from soul. But then again, there's not really a point in doing that because 1, you probably don't have an extra copy on your board anyways, and even if you did, that would be like the most convoluted bullshit I've seen just for, I guess, getting multi-attack. So Rarami is great. It's a nice grade 1, gets counter charges, gets itself a call, and it opens up your rear guard. I like that. I mean, that was my one thing with the deck before where it always felt like it didn't have space to run that dragon, so I wouldn't really be able to call stuff easily. But yeah, now I get to feel like I can open up my board very quickly and then just call out a board. So all around, it's a good grade 1. I like it a lot. Definitely, obviously, a 4 because it does everything for the deck. It has the name, and it can work with itself and the other grade 1 version. And not to mention the fact that that's counter charging. Then we have our PGs and 4 copies of Twin Buckler Dragon, grade 1 boost, 0 shield, 6k base. Continue sending over before summon deck and auto is put on guard circle. Choose Reony plus it cannot be hit in the battle. And if your hand is streamed or card you card from discard it. Okay. What I've learned from this. 1. From playing Deer Days. I don't know if Deer Days is just weird with that ruling, or maybe if I just didn't notice it, but for some fucking reason, when I was playing against Flagberg, it wouldn't let me not use the PG's discard skill. So, yeah, if that actually is the case, then I just recently learned that you have to discard if you're playing against Flagberg. I've heard someone say that's not the case, but I remember it didn't give me the fucking choice. I had to discard, so, yeah, Bushy, that might be an issue you have to fix with Deer Days, unless I'm just crazy, and there was a button, I just missed it, but I was clicking the button it would be, and it wasn't doing anything. So anyways, Twin Buckler getting that free PG skill, but also just the fact that I've learned something where I finally ran the new Dragon Empire PG with the same skill in my other Shoujo Joji deck, and holy fuck, that PG does not like me, and Twin Buckler has proven that I should only run Twin Buckler as my PG, so great. But anyways, yeah, getting that free PG skill is amazing. That means basically if you're in the time of desperate measures where you've probably committed most of your hand to attacking or defending at this point, this card acts as a last-ditch effort to defend you in terms of guard power, and not to mention the fact that it's just an instant nullifying attack regardless of how big the number is. All around, it's a good grade 1, and I like it a lot, so obviously we run the 4 PGs. And I don't run that Blitz PG because just like the triggers, they are the gimmicky ones because that only benefits you if your opponent has triple drive and not game +1 drive bullshit, actually has the triple drive icon. And it's not a unit, meaning if you have to call grade 1 PG to board, you can call one unless it's the PG. And that's actually have been a case on multiple occasions where I've had to call grade 1 PGs just to make sure I win. I mean, granted, in the end, that is the reason I won, because even though I didn't swing with that column, it added the intimidation factor. So yeah, 4 PGs. Sometimes having a Normian actually makes the difference regardless of what it is. Then we have our grade 1, which proves the fact that you have to run this specific starter in your deck, otherwise you can't use your skill. And that is, if I can get back to her name, in the Calm Sunlight, Tamayura. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto placed by riding from 9-tailed Fox Spirit Tamayura. Look at the top 7, choose up to either one Reony or Rarami card. And if in its card name, or a Fox Art card from among them, reveal, put it to hand, shuffle your deck. Easy, and it has a glitter of a Fire Regales, but there's no such thing as fucking Fire Regales in this deck for some reason. But yeah, so easy top 7 search for literally your deck's main mechanics. Either you get the main units on rear guards, or you get your main stall and or search mechanics. There's no reason not to run this as your grade 1 in the ride line. It would be stupid not to. This is the best card, one of the best ride line cards I've ever seen. One of in the ride deck. None in the main deck, sadly, because it has no rear guard skill. Then move on to our grade 2s. Obviously, run 4 copies of both the dolls, twin Direful dolls, Rarami and Rami, or Rarami. So grade 2 and a 5k shield, 10k base on Rarami. Auto when she's placed on rear guard by soul. If you have another rear guard with Rarami in its card name, so again, it can be this one or it can be this one, you can Soul Blast 2 to draw a card. Other people might say that's the worst one of the two. My opinion, that's the best one of the two. I just say it sounds like the worst one because whenever I see people call both of them at the same time, they choose to go with the other one more often than not. But I think this one's just the better one to go because free draw. But anyways, and then Glitter with Tamayura, auto when it's retired from guard circle, you may put this card into your soul. So, this is fucking annoying to deal with because that just means anything that's a 5k block is instantly guarded by these things and they get you free soul because, by the way, they both share that ability. But, yeah, that's annoying to deal with. I know, the Deer Days AI that has this deck expanded against me so much to the point where I just started playing Bav against it out of pure hatred, so whenever he called it to rear guard, I would murder them both within 5 seconds. So yeah, good skill, gets that draw, and not to mention the fact that get you itself to soul, so it does set up, and it also benefits from these two sending themselves to soul along with their board. And then Reony also sharing the second glitter skill, but also its only first skill is auto when placed on rear guard. If you have a rear guard with Rarami in its card name, so again this one or this one, you get to Soul Blast 2 and choose an opponent's rear guard and put it into their soul. So they do get an extra soul, but you're making them get rid of rear guards all around as a plus. I like this card a lot. Me personally, this is my favorite in terms of art. This is my favorite in terms of skill. Again, it's weirdly the opposite. I think this was my favorite in terms of art, but this was my favorite in terms of skill. Actually, no, that's exactly the same. So all around, both of them are good cards. You run them for their power, obviously, and then their name. Sadly, I feel like their effects could be a little bit more, but honestly, they're good as they are. Like, I don't know. I feel like the thing I'm thinking of what their effects could be would be like something you tie onto an evolved form of Tamayura or set order. So around, I like Reony a lot. It's great. I like Rarami a lot. They're both great. So why not run them both at 4-ofs? And then we run Festival of Burning Tamayura as our grade 2 of the ride line. Grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when she's placed by riding from the grade 1. Choose 1 up to 1 Reony or Rami card in your drops and put it to your hand. So sadly she doesn't include Foxheart like her grade 1 counterpart does. But that means you have 4 cards that work as discard fodder. So, or you know, you could just block one of them or your opponent kills one of them because you called it to rear guard and attempted on intercepting with it. I don't know how you would get that on board considering this had to be at grade 2 when you write this, so I don't know. But point is, free card back to hand. It's a good grade 2. I like it. Makes ride lines free. I hate the fact that they keep giving decks this because it feels like Bushy's just running out of ideas when they do this to me. I don't know why. But it's still a good grade 2, so why not run it as a 4-of? Or not 4-of. 1 of in the ride deck, none in the main deck because no rear guard skill. Then we have our orders, 2 copies of Fleeting Shine that lights life, grade 2 grade 2 Blitz order. It's a Foxheart card, so play it by Soul Blasting 2 if you're a Vanguard Tamayura's card name. That used to be so hard in this deck, and now it is so easy for me to get that. Choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets Continuous Vanguard. All your opponents from units lose 10k till end of turn. So, I like how it's both Shiryuki and better, because Shiryuki picked any 3 units in the front row. So in Excel decks, I would kind of just not do much of them. This fucks over everything in the front row, meaning everything is swinging for less. And that's very fun to do if your opponent's about to kill you, because then their numbers drop below the amount to hit your Vanguard. Like that one time the AI had to call a trigger, and I dropped this order on them, and their rear guard became a 3k because they were called a grade 3, and it was only an 8k swing. And I remember this because I found it funny. Either way, this is an amazing order. There are multiple ways to search it. It's not too great because, again, the Soul Blast 2, and that is kind of hefty considering you want to pay more of your Soul Blast to these 2, but it also because it does it during your opponent's turn, so you can't really call these out from it. But it's a good order nonetheless. I like to have it a lot, so why not run it as a 2-of, because, again, it is searchable via her, so they're more likely to see it in any game than not. I guess my issue is that I rarely play it because I'm always cautious about the soul I want to use. Then we have our last order, and I'll explain why I'm not running the other one that I know all of you are yelling in the comments about, and that is Scarlet of Fluttering Evanescent Life, or as I like to call it, the most disappointing card I've ever seen, and not because I hate its skill, but because this thing has the perfect art, in my opinion, for a set order, and it's not a fucking set order. Grade 3, normal order, Bushy. Everyone else got a fucking set order except for Chaos. Where the fuck's Tamayura's set order? Anyways, play this card by Soul Blasting 2 if you have Vanguard Tamayura's card name. Choose up to 1 unit card with Reony in its card name, and then choose up to 1 card with Rarami in its card name from your drop. Call them to rear guard. So essentially, blast these 2 out and call them, or have these 2 in drop already, blast these 2 out, call these 2, and then because their skills would work in that timing, call them both to their respective columns. This is your easiest way to get a board if you're losing, and the stupidest comeback card I have ever seen. Again, I say, wish it was a set order because its art is perfect for it, but hey, works like it is. Soul Blast 2, this is actually what I'm willing to spend on, because again, if I'm Soul Blasting, the dollars is going to come back out anyways. It's just a speeding it up for Tamayura's process, so all around good order. I like it a lot. I run it as a 2-of because it's nice to have. And if you're wondering why I don't run the Regalia piece, I don't like that card. And I don't know what it is about it. It's not its art. Maybe it's just the fact that I feel like it just makes the game cheap because it's a free Persona ride. Like, you know, they gave us the limit on Persona rides for a reason, and they made this the whole big deal of like every grade 3, you kind of just want to stay on that one grade 3 this whole time. Why, like, unless you're playing very specific decks, why add an extra Persona? Like, I understand its use, I understand why it's good, I just feel like it makes it cheap, and the only deck I would see it fair in is either Graham Grace, because Graham Grace's deck is built around that shit, or Favernir, who doesn't get Persona rights. But every other deck, I feel like it's just cheap, and especially Tamayura, who gets a pseudo Persona ride, or like a half Persona ride. So yeah. Anyways, 2 of this order. No Regalia piece. I'm not saying it's bad. You can run it if you want. I just don't like it because, in my opinion, it makes the deck feel cheap. Then we have our last card in the deck, and that is 3 copies of the main deck, 1 copy in the ride deck of our last grade 3 and our main grade 3, Deepening Night, Tamayura. Grade 3, 200%, 13k base. I love her umbrella theme. We all know I love this green fruit thing that it looks like, and I love this moon, and I love the fact that it looks like she's in the clouds. Anyways, auto van, at the beginning of your ride phase, you get all your front units get +5 until end of turn. That skill is more deadly than you think. because may only be a half Persona Ride skill, but one, that means all these dolls, like even if they don't have boosters, can hit, unless you see a trigger. And the worst part about this is if you stack a Persona Ride on top of it, that means everything's at least a 15k drop, except the Vanguard, who's at least a 20k drop. No joke, that skill is the most terrifying thing in this deck. I remember every time I played this deck, every time I've played against it, the one constant factor is if this deck gets to turn 4 and that skill goes off, everything starts going to shit for the opponent or whatever's fighting it, and hand cards start getting dropped left and right. Like, the amount of cards that 5k makes a difference of is crazy. But then, the other skill that's also very dangerous is Auto Van with this unit attack. Combat boss 1, perform one of the following. Either choose a card from your soul and call it to rear guard, or choose a card with Rarami and soul from your card from your soul, and a card with Rarami and card from your soul, call them to rear guard. So, you know, 2 free calls. This one I know was glitched, because in the game of Dear Days, the AI used that skill and it called out 2 Raramis. And I know I wasn't hallucinating because my friend was there and he can back me up on this. So, yeah, Bushy, the fuck. Why was the AI able to call both of these at the, like, and it wasn't that it had access to these fuckers, it had access to these 2, and it called 2 of this for some reason. So, I don't know how that works, but whatever. Either way, being able to call 2 cards from your soul is amazing, and if you're only going to call 1, it still adds for multi-attack, and if you have the half Persona Ride off, it gives more power, and if you have the full Persona Ride off with it, that adds even more power. All around, she's an amazing grade 3, getting that multi-attack, making the deck feel like a Pale Moon Circus, calling stuff out of soul, looping it back into soul, and then waiting to do it next turn. It just feels so amazing to playing with, and I love it so much. So 3 of the main deck, 1 of in the right deck. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, like I said, the deck is fun to play. It gets numbers. And the second you get to grade 4, everything's at least a 5k drop, most likely a 15k drop if you put a Persona Ride on it. And multi-attack will be your death of your opponent, and if you sack the over, it is instant death. It's not even the Wilmillion's fault, it's just the fact that you're getting 8 attacks. And if there are like 4 damage at the start of this turn, yeah, the over trigger is just the nail in the coffin, and the Wilmillion did absolutely nothing to accomplish that. So all around, I like this deck. I think it's fun. You get numbers, you get multi-attacks, you get to do everything. What's not to like about it? It's just a fun deck to play. So I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you're wondering why I don't run that other grade 3 for like Shoujo Joji, I don't know. It just feels weird because, you know, you're never really sacking 2 rear guards into soul at once. I mean you could technically with these 2, but I don't know. It just feels weird running him. It also feels like there's not enough space for him in my opinion. But either way, I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.